Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Today is going to be a topic recommended by a channel member who has an upcoming court date and was looking for some advice on how to deal with that and what to expect. And the question is, I have a court hearing to see my daughter. Would be not a court hearing to physically see the daughter, but a court hearing to establish visitation. Would be a great topic if you could let me know what to expect and how to act, what to ask. Okay. First, and this is for anybody who is dealing with a narcissistic, toxic ex, expect the ex to throw out the unexpected. Do not go in there thinking that you understand that everything's laid out, all the rules are laid out, and maybe you have them backed into a corner. Expect the unexpected. Expect them to have some last minute thing they're going to try to bring up, or some new information, or something along those lines. That happens on a huge, that the percentage of that happening is pretty high. For instance, in my situation, when we finally went to court, when we walked in, her attorney looked over to my attorney and, it's like, oh, have you seen this? And handed him a whole nother responsive declaration that I had a feeling was coming. I told my attorney about it, and he's like, oh, don't worry about it. Why are you being so worried and paranoid? And then he came to me at the first break, freaked out, like, oh my God, she said this, this, and this. Expect the unexpected. Don't allow it to throw you off. So if they, it's like, hey, now they're saying you're an axe murderer. Just be like, really? And that's kind of, in my situation, it was a bunch of accusations, and I'm like, well, if all that's true, then I'm going to get fired from my job because what she's saying I can't do and have the position I have. So I just took it. I knew it was going to happen. I was expecting it, so it didn't freak me out. I mean, it did kind of like make my blood pressure and my heart race a little bit, but I already had worked out of my head how to anticipate it. And I'll get into a little bit more as I go through this on ways to better help you deal with that. But expect the unexpected. The next thing is be careful of your presentation, meaning how you look, how you sound, how you represent yourself. You want to make sure that you come across as a reasonable person. You don't want to come across looking disheveled. You don't want to come across looking unreasonable. You don't want to be staring over, giving the stink eye at your ex or their attorney. You want to take a lot of deep breaths. You want to make sure that you present yourself as like a job interview. That's really super important. You want to make sure that when because here's the deal. The judge, I'm not a judge, but this is my experience and my opinion on the matter. They're making these really quick decisions based off of a lot of different things. And one of them is looking at you and trying to figure out what kind of person you are. They're going to try to read you real quick. So you want to make sure that you don't look like you're angry, that I mean, I get it, and they understand that there's problems in this whole thing, and you have every right to be angry, but be very cautious of how you interact with that. What I will also recommend is the interview I did with Cordell like 3 years ago. I think it was Joe Cordell, who is the owner of Cordell and Cordell. He hit a bunch of these issues on how to present yourself and how to deal with these things. So I'll leave a card up above for that video. So if you haven't watched it, or if it's been a while, go back and look at that, because he has a lot of good advice on how to deal in these situations and how to present yourself and what to focus on. And I think that would be very, very helpful. But you have to remember that you're playing your part, and you better make sure you're on. Make sure you're dressed appropriately. Make sure you like I said, you're not giving stink eye to the ex. If you have an attorney, make sure you let them do the talking. If you're representing yourself, you want to be as reasonable as possible. And you probably want to try to ask questions as you're going through it. And if that's the case, and you're representing yourself, make sure you check out Alex Falcone's YouTube channel, The Proper Person, where he talks a lot, extensively, about self-representation. Here's the next thing. You want to focus on the facts and not allow yourself to get sidetracked. Think about what your main goal is and keep everything focused on that. Like in this situation, if this person is wanting to establish the visitation and to be able to see his daughter, everything needs to be laser-like focused on that topic. So don't bring in keep everything that you bring in focused on that. You don't want to have a bunch of other things that just confuse things. And I'm going to get into a little bit more because the next thing we'll talk more about that with how what your ex is more than likely going to do. Go in with a clear goal of what you want, right? I mean, and if it is multiple things, that's fine, right? Like, let's say this situation is, okay, I want visitation with the kids or with my kid, and I want child support adjusted because, the expectation is I'm going to get more time. So write it down. Like, before you go to court, write down what your key points are. You can have some other points in the background, like if for counter moves or not counter, because I don't want to say it in a way like it's a legal term, but if you have your list of 3 things, right, and then you think, well, they might bring some other things up, like maybe if there's expenses or something like that, then have that in your back pocket. But keep everything as simple and focused as possible on what you're trying to accomplish. The next thing on this, don't take the bait. Your ex and their attorney, I don't want to say her because it could be either, this goes both ways. If you're a woman and your ex is a husband, or you're a man and the ex is a female, or whatever, even if it's, same-sex relationships, a narcissistic, toxic person, they all follow the same traits. So your ex and their attorney will try to distract you and throw extra things in there to add chaos. Anticipate it. Don't take the bait. If they bring something up and then the judge is like, hey, Mr. Knucklehead, what is, what's the deal with this? Okay, then you have to deal with it. But like, for instance, in that situation, going back to mine, that first story, whenever that new revelation came in about how I'm a monster and all those different things, I basically was like, it's bull, it's crap, that's not true. And I mean, I wasn't like, oh my God, yeah, it's true. There was this one time in band camp. No. Keep focused on what's important to you, right? I mean, if they try to drag you in the mud, hopefully if you don't respond to it and you're not going this back and forth, the judge will just blow it off. Potentially, again, I'm not an attorney. Talk to an attorney to make sure you have your advice, but don't allow them to derail you from what we were talking about before with the goals of what you're trying to accomplish. Stay focused on that. And to be honest, if whatever they bring up isn't a part of that particular hearing, my understanding, again, check with your attorney, is procedurally, if it hasn't been brought up, they would have to do another court hearing to bring something up. So if it's like, since we're here, let's talk about the purple bunny rabbit, if you agree to allow that in there, they can do that. But I think, because that happened in my situation where the ex, we had a hearing and they wanted to bring up, actually what it was is they wanted to add into the hearing the stipulation to move, for it to be a move away. It's like, oh, hey, we're doing this divorce hearing and custody and child support and alimony. Hey, let's add this in. And my attorney basically said, you didn't bring that in. No. They asked me, they said, hey, do you want to add this in? I'm like, no. Okay, we don't have to. So basically force the issue that she'd have to bring it up in my situation later. So stay focused on what you're trying to accomplish. It's super important to keep you focused and not get distracted and not fall into their chaos. The other thing on this, and this kind of dovetails with the second item I was talking about, is act professional. Present yourself as responsible, level-headed, focused on the best interests of your kids, focused on the best possible outcome. And what I mean is what you don't want to do is you don't want to appear to be part of the problem. And what I mean by that is, you're being reasonable. highlight the chaos that's coming from the other party, right? Like for instance, in my situation, and I know this doesn't necessarily, work with what this person is specifically asking, but in my situation, I just locked my computer. Okay. In my situation, I knew that with the age of the kids, it was 13, 11, and 6. She had been a stay-at-home mom the entire time. If I went in and I was like, hey, I want full custody because now all of a sudden she's a horrible person. What's my basis? The basis is all anyone would look at in that situation is, oh, okay, they're getting a divorce. They hate each other. This guy is saying she's horrible. He's saying she's saying he's horrible. They're both full of crap, and nobody had any credibility. So I was very reasonable in everything I put together. That's why I only asked for 50-50, although I wish I would have pushed for more in retrospect. But at the time, with the information I had, I didn't understand narcissism. I didn't understand personality disorders. Not that I'm saying she was diagnosed or anything like that, but because of that, I was very cautious on what I asked for, and I was trying to make sure that everything I did was very measured and appropriate, right? I didn't want to come across as a bitter, angry person who was just trying to do things to, get back at the ex. Now, granted, they tried to say that, right? So during the hearing, that first temporary hearing, I'm saying I want a 50-50. Their attorney is saying he never cared about the kids. All he cares about is money. He's only wanting the kids because of money, right? And I'm like, I want to be a part of the kids' lives. I want to be a dad. I want to be involved. Fortunately, the judge was like, hey, we got a dad who wants to be involved. We need to encourage that, right? Now, he didn't give me everything I wanted. I went from 80-20. I wanted 50-50. It was at 80-20. She wanted to keep it at 80-20. The judge said no, 70-30. So I walked out. Basically, neither one of us got what we wanted. I guess technically I got more. So, but either way, I mean, it wasn't a good day. But that was my whole thing. Try to be reasonable about it, act professional, and try to undo some of this stuff. So in this particular person, if I remember correctly with their story, they haven't been able to see their kid for a long time. They're going through court to try to force it. You just be reasonable, go in there, say, look, it's my kid. I want to be a part of my kid's life. The gatekeeper over here is making sure that doesn't happen, and you're trying to force the issue to get time. And that's what you do. You stay focused on that. Don't get distracted. I expect, going back to what I was talking about with them, expect your ex to throw out the unexpected. I would expect them to throw out, well, how are you going to take care of the kids? There's no, they have a drinking problem. I mean, throw something else out there to try to get some flaming hoop that you have to jump through. Now, if that happens and the judge says, oh, Mr. Man, they're saying that you have an alcohol problem. Do you ever drink? And at the end, and you say yes, then, they might say, well, now we want to do alcohol tests, breathalyzer tests for, a period of time. Whatever the hoops that they throw, especially in this situation, if they throw extra hoops out there, you jump through them. It sucks. I'll tell you that when I was going through my thing, and every time I felt like I was jumping through some flaming hoops or some other BS that was brought up, remember, and you've heard me talk about this before, you're fighting a war. You're focused on winning the war, not a battle. If they throw something at you, how do you get through that to get to the point to where you want to be? And in the situation this person's talking about, they want to have access to their kid. They want to be able to be a parent into their kid's life. So if they throw some extra BS that you need to do, just say, if you have an attorney, try to get them to fight that. And if they say no, then just whatever they say, you do. So I hope that was helpful. I really appreciate the support from the channel members who are participating in this call for messages. I did post another one of those to channel members just yesterday or on Sunday. And if you're a channel member, respond to that with topic suggestions, and I will put that in the queue. If you want to support the channel, I think the smallest version is $1.99. You can hit the join button down below and become a channel member and help support the channel and the content that I'm trying to get out there, and hopefully keep things moving on. Right? If this video, if you think this video could be helpful for someone, please share it with them. If you're new to the channel, I know looking at the stats, about 70% of the viewers of my videos are non-subscribers. Please consider subscribing. It does actually help the channel. Like and subscribe, because that really does. It's a signal. It's an indicator to YouTube that people like and appreciate the content. So on that, hope you're doing okay, and I'll catch you on the next video. Take care.